Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Endgame. It's with some considerable pleasure that I bring you Monster Hunter Freedom 1, which is a game that I don't record frequently, and there is a reason why. And it is for that very reason that I've had a very stressful recording setup on this occasion, but I'm not going to get into the details of that right now. I'd like to welcome you all to Kokota Village. This is a place that not many people have intimate experience with, and I suppose that's because this is a first-gen location. Some of you will only have seen it in Monster Hunter Generations or Generations Ultimate, and I can tell you that it's an interesting place. It's different. Maybe not so much the village itself, but definitely the first generation is a different experience to what you might understand as being Monster Hunter. Some of you may have played a little bit of Monster Hunter 1 just to see how broken it may be, but very few people have sat down and properly experienced this generation of Monster Hunter, and my personal recommendation would be to play this very game if you are wanting to give it a try. It's sort of a gateway, in that you are exposed to less bullshit all at once. You can imagine that if you're having to deal with, say, the analog stick controls to attack, as well as various other rigid game features all at once, on top of just acclimatizing to first generation, you might get overwhelmed. I have encountered people who simply don't get overwhelmed, and I do take my hat off to those people. But if you are wanting to give first generation a try, definitely play this game first. Or don't. You don't have to take my recommendation, you can completely ignore me if you want. But anyway, I just realized that I brought a fire weapon. I probably should have brought a thunder weapon. My poor choice of weapon actually is down to the fact that I have been rushing myself to organize this live stream, which obviously for many of you is not going to be live, but it's live as I'm recording it, we'll put it that way. And yeah, I'm hunting a Plesioth for the first monster. We're here in the old desert, by the way. This location was redone in Monster Hunter 4. There's probably there would be a percentage of people who play Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, or have played Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, and are not aware that that was actually a remade map from first generation. You can probably tell from the map design, as it appears on the screen, that it is very similar. But when you're actually here in the location, they have completely remade it. We will actually kill these white Velociprey, they are called. I'm not saying that as a joke, they are called white Velociprey, and as I carve this small monster, you will see that I'm getting a Velociprey fang. That's possibly already blown your mind. There are a lot of very strange things in this game that are difficult to understand, and what I'm going to do is do my utmost to explain them as I see them, for those of you who perhaps are not familiar with first generation Monster Hunter. I may take the chat off my screen because, as I've mentioned in a previous recording, namely the Freedom Unite recording that I did last time, it can be a little bit distracting, and it does detract a little bit from the immersion of the game. Just lowering my monitor volume now. It's a little bit too loud in my ears. So what I'm using right now is a greatsword, but you see, in first generation Monster Hunter, it does not have the ability to charge. You have to use it as a very slow slashing weapon, and that is the maximum damage that you can deal with this. You'll actually notice in first generation Monster Hunter that there are times when you use a weapon that would appear to be a greatsword to your eyes, or to the eyes of a person who doesn't play first gen, and then you'll have weapon designs that look more like a longsword. Well, there is no longsword weapon type here, so you will on occasion be using longsword weapon designs, but in the way that I'm using this weapon now. And it can actually be quite refreshing to see. It's a little bit unusual, and it's part of the novelty of this game. It's part of why it can be fun to sit down and play first generation Monster Hunter. It's difficult to explain this to people who haven't played extensive Monster Hunter across multiple generations, but sitting down to play first gen will simultaneously be very familiar to those of you who play second gen, specifically Freedom Unite, and yet it will feel very different at the same time. It's because the balancing is totally different. The way that you engage with the game is notably different from what you're used to, and it can actually feel both refreshing and painful. At first it will feel painful, but you will get to the nice creamy center, the tasty creamy center of what can be experienced in first gen once you start to allow yourself to become inured to the strangeness of this generation of Monster Hunter. I am getting hip checked pretty extraordinarily right now. I need to bring up my chat because I did actually have false start, which caused me to refresh my live stream. I apologize that I'm not monitoring it, my dear viewers. It's worth mentioning that I only just woke up. It is 6:45 AM. I woke up at about 6:15. And the reason why I decided to record so early is because if I didn't record now, I probably wasn't going to be recording until many of you watching live will have gone to bed. So, just trying to accommodate those of you who want to actually watch me live here. As you can see, going away from the head, going up the body of the monster is typically the strategy you want to make use of. Also, aim for the body as much as you can. The legs are obviously useful for knockdowns, but aiming for the body is what you want for maximum damage. The head, weirdly, is not a weak point for this monster. As I mentioned at the start of this hunt, I really should have brought a thunder weapon, because that is the primary elemental weakness for this monster, but wasn't really thinking of it. And besides, this is a more interesting weapon in my opinion. The Thunder Greatsword for this game, or at least the strongest one, which is what I have, is a very boring looking weapon. It does have that longsword weapon design that I mentioned, but it's not very attractive. But I guess you will be able to get the strangeness and the novelty. I'll be able to showcase the novelty of using a longsword as a greatsword if I were to use it. So I'm not going to completely avoid the weapon, but I felt that this was a nice grounding start. A Rathalos greatsword, something that most of us are familiar with. But yeah, I'm just trying to be accommodating to those of you who are very unfamiliar or have no experience whatsoever with first gen as I record this here. It also gives me something to talk about, talking about what's different about this game. Because otherwise you're going to be seeing things appearing on the screen that you simply don't understand, and you're going, what the fuck is this? And I'm just not going to be saying anything about it, which would be a little bit weird. So for purposes of conversation and illumination, I'm going to talk about the things that are honestly unique to first generation, like White Velociprey. Why are there White Velociprey? What's that about? Well, they obviously decided that they wanted two colours of Velociprey for one reason or another, but there is no snow location. So obviously if you go into second generation Monster Hunter, and this is a case where using the term second generation is appropriate, you will have heard me say in the last recording that I did in Monster Hunter Freedom Unite that it's not quite accurate to say second generation for a lot of things that we would otherwise use the phrase second generation for, because in most cases it first appeared in the very last game of second generation, Monster Hunter Freedom Unite. So many things actually only existed in Monster Hunter Freedom Unite for second generation, so it becomes a little inaccurate to say, oh, that's a second gen feature. Like, what's an example that I can think of? The idea that you can stack 99 items or 99 materials of anything that you want in the box is something that only became possible in Monster Hunter Freedom Unite. Let's take honey, for example. How it works is, your maximum stack that you can have in your pouch is also going to be reflected in your box. So therefore, honey, you can only store honey in your box to a maximum of 10 per stack. And that is a feature that remained the case in all Monster Hunter games until Monster Hunter Freedom Unite. So that's just a really basic example of what I mean. So for most of us that would be very much a first gen thing, but no, it was in DOS and Freedom 2 as well. So just the difficulty with which you will try to hoard your items, or rather, the complete inability to hoard items. You really have to be careful with how you store things. What you will have just seen there, by the way, in the reward screen, is a complete lack of the option to send straight to your box from the quest complete screen. What you do is actually put your items straight in your inventory, and you could see that once I ran out of space in my inventory, I actually had to remove something from my inventory in order to be able to take what was there. Because I wasn't really thinking and I was in the middle of talking, I ended up taking some wyvern claws that I didn't really want. But that's alright. I ended up foregoing a monster bone plus. Doesn't really matter. I've got no idea what we're doing next. Hopefully it's not more Plesioth. At the moment we're just doing this guy's quests as he needs them. So I'm crossing my fingers that it's not grinding Plesioth. I hope that's not on the agenda. The more monsters I can demonstrate, the better. So, I actually forgot the comment that I was going to make before. I was beginning to explain something and I've since forgotten because too many things are happening on the screen. You know, things that I can comment on that are different. I was talking about how Monster Hunter Freedom Unite, for example, wasn't representative of 2nd gen, but I can't remember the point that I was originally going to. That's kind of frustrating, and obviously a symptom of the fact that I've just woken up, but that's alright. Don't really want that. Oh yeah, that's right. I was talking about the fact that Geoprey obviously are for the snow area, but there is no snow location until 2nd generation, and that is something that I can say comfortably for all the 2nd gen games. Monster Hunter DOS was the first game where you were given a snow location. I don't really want to take fish. I have to be very, very conservative, very careful with my storing of items. I will sell anything that I don't think I need. Yeah, here in this game you can actually sort your items. If I go into here, there is an auto-sort feature. This is something that is new to this game. So if I go to here, and I hit select, it will sort my items. Now that's quite a remarkable feature to be introduced because, hey, it's not in the PS2 games. Or at the very least, it's not in Monster Hunter 1. I don't believe that it was in Monster Hunter G. But that would be an example of a feature that was brought into the last of the 1st gen games, but not representative of the experience of all of 1st gen. Just being able to auto-sort your items, it gets really, really basic. A complete lack of quality of life is pretty much the best summary that I can give you of early Monster Hunter. You have to do everything manually, and you will either like it, or you will give up. And the game doesn't care if you give up or not. It doesn't care if you can't hack it, or if you don't enjoy yourself. The idea is to make the best of a bad situation. Now I'm going to skip through here, because guess what? You can't actually press a button to skip the eating sequence. You can play this game as much as you want. You can get into the endgame, you can get into the final rank, you can play hundreds of hours of this game, but you're always going to be expected to sit through the entirety of that cutscene. And while I should have shown you that, because I haven't shown you it before, I just habitually skipped through it with a speed up of the emulator. So that's one of the good things about using an emulator. I accidentally went to the offline hall there. Alright, it seems like he, in other words the guy that we were hunting Plesioth for, was actually trying to upgrade his lance, and now that he has done that, he may not need Plesioth anymore, so let's try to touch base with him and see what he needs now. He has already gone and posted a quest. Hopefully not Plesioth. Oh, I keep pressing circle, and the reason why is that almost every single game that I play these days in the series uses circle or A to make the selections. Aha, this is On the Trail of the Beast. I don't even I don't even recognize the name of that quest. Obviously, a pretty obvious thing you're seeing here is A, no picture for the monster that you're fighting, and B, no explanation for what you're hunting. You've got no idea what this is. This is why you have to actually memorize the quest names, which is extraordinary. But you know, things as basic as that are simply not present, so on the trail of the beast. It could be Gypsyros. It could be... probably Gypsyros. I'm actually having to ask what monster this is. I hope it's not Kirin. If it's fucking Kirin, I'm going to lose it, but it could be. Beast could refer to... Oh, it is Kirin, you're right. Well, I suppose Takashi in the chat is memorizing the quest names. On the trail of the beast. I really didn't want to do another Kirin. Obviously, you guys saw that, or... Well, for those of you who did watch the Freedom Unite recording last time, you did see me spend time hunting a Kirin. That was an interesting hunt. We ended up doing a guy's quest, and he was the one who needed Kirin, and then we joined the quest, and his connection to us and to the game was so horrendous that I had to forcibly kick him from the room, which was ironic because he was the only one who was ultimately going to benefit from us doing that quest, so that was a bit of a shame. I guess I'll bring a bowgun. I don't really want to do anything. I don't want to use a weapon. I don't want to hunt this monster in general. Sorry, that's very negative, but true. I'll bring a gun, but I guess I'll just bring profusion and then normal shots. I don't have a normal bowgun loadout in this game. I really should have one, but okay, this is just going to have to do, to put it simply. First generation Kirin is very similar. You will see that he moves a little differently. He's just got different movement animations, kind of similar to Fatalis, in that for the most part it's the same fight, but you're going to see different animations. I guess all I can say is that you're going to get generally more rigidity while playing this game, as compared to, say, Freedom Unite, so that general rigidity might translate into a more annoying hunt here. But the monster's not going to move any differently, or have any different attacks to what you would be familiar with if you've fought Kirin in first generation. Ugh. I'm going to be relying very much on Homnos. Now, Homnos is someone named Akaya, who is an old-school monster who began in first generation and mostly plays first generation. I'm relying very much on the frequent activity of this particular person to even be able to go live right now. One of the reasons why I don't record this game very often is that it can be hard to get a group to play with. Obviously, when I'm going live, it's fairly inflexible, or I become fairly inflexible. What happens is I need a group to hunt with right then and now, or right here and now, right then and then, and if I don't have a group, I'm live with no one to play with, and it's pretty bad, so yeah, this is the best case scenario, believe it or not. I actually, even when I came online here, just missed a group of people, and Akaya remained from that group of people, so yeah, no inventory space left. I'm probably just going to live with that. So this weapon that I'm using here is Profusion. It's a pretty good light bowgun for G rank in this game. And I suppose it's worth mentioning that I am actually in G rank. You're going to see a lot of things that to your eyes may look like high rank. Like, for example, plus monster materials, weapon rarities. So I think I'm using a rarity 6 weapon right now. All of these rarities and all of these things that look like high rank are actually G rank. This is the crazy thing. So low rank and high rank will look like low rank, and then G rank looks like high rank. I don't know if what I just said makes sense, but believe it or not, that's about as well as I can explain it. I'm going to be hip firing a lot. You can see the forward motion is a little bit different. You get a lot more of direct running forward attacks from the Kirin, less hopping from side to side, although he does still do that, I should mention. Oh, someone's using pellet. It is excusable when hunting this monster, to be honest. I regret not bringing pellet now. I'm not sure how, how well this gun actually shoots pellet, but yeah, obviously Akaya has a proper set for this, I don't. Well, thank you for that. You were phenomenally off target. Ow. I think it's a special attack where Kirin goes from side to side. You can see for the most part, he is just going straight ahead, which is much more easy to deal with. I don't know if you just saw my camera completely shitting itself. It was this log right here. This log, my camera was trying to recover from the fact that it was there, and consequently, my field of vision just turned into, I don't even know what you would describe it, like a seizure, maybe? I was going to say something drunken, but no, that was more like a seizure. And you will have that, particularly in first generation. You will occasionally get it in second, but it's much, well, I should say in Freedom 9 and Freedom 2. You're going to get it much less there, but it still exists. Here in first generation, you're just going to be constantly in a state of fighting your camera. It is going to automatically do things which will make it difficult to hunt, make it difficult to walk in a straight line, make it difficult for you to know your head from your asshole. And that is a feature of first generation Monster Hunter, and I can assure you it is considerably worse in the PS2 titles. The PS2 titles, at least here you can fight the camera. In that game, you're just taken for a ride. That's it. You will go where the camera automatically decides that you will go, and you will like it. I don't know what Yen's got there. It doesn't look like an amazing weapon. It looks like a standard Iron Path gun lance. Oh, sorry, it's not... What am I talking about? It's not a gun lance. It's the lance that looks like a gun lance. It is a first-gen weapon. When they called it the gun lance prototype, they really meant it. They were probably planning to... well, perhaps they weren't planning to make an actual gun lance. I think it all began with that weapon type, and then either one of the game designers had a masterstroke and decided, hey, let's actually make this a real weapon type. Or perhaps it was requested by the fans that they make it a weapon type. But it did begin as just a weapon design for the lance weapon type, that gun lance. And of course that endured for at least the first 4 generations of Monster Hunter. That particular lance weapon design, as a fire lance. As I recall, in 3rd generation they turned it into an event weapon. You can probably tell that I'm struggling a little bit to stay on target, and that's because I've not been following my own advice, which is hip-firing my shots. That's obviously why I do it. I forego my damage, or forego the best possible damage, in order to have higher DPS. Like so. Get out of my way. So one thing that you will encounter in first generation Monster Hunter is the sheer number of small monsters that you have to deal with. There aren't as many here, so I'm already seeing about 3 in this area, but that's not many. Not by first gen standards. You can get as many as like 7 or 8 prey monsters in the area all at once. And it can make gunning an excruciating experience. So just be prepared for that, I suppose. And obviously Bullfango. You can imagine having up to 8 small monsters in the area with you while you're fighting the monster, and then translate that to hunting Bullfango, or dealing with Bullfango. It is as unpleasant as it sounds. You get away from me. You will notice that I'm not really stocking up on Mega Potions. There is method to my madness. I don't really have the box space to be putting Mega Potions in my box. I know that sounds absurd, but it's true. The best way for me to approach it, actually, is for me to just make them as I need them. I just forgot to do it in the last intermission between the previous quest and this one. So what I do is I go to the farm, and then I make my Mega Potions based on what I collect from the farm. But to say that they are sparing with the honey that they give you from a fully upgraded farm would be the understatement of the century. If you are very, very lucky, you can get 3. Well, I think you can get 4 if you're very, very lucky, but 3 is going to be your most common result. Worst case scenario, you can get 0. So, I will demonstrate that shortly. Well, maybe not shortly. It depends how long it takes for us to kill this kid, and we have just lost the guy who posted the fucking quest, so that's not great. I don't know what it is about this monster. He's obviously a cursed monster. This is now the second time that we have lost the quest host for the Kirin that we've been hunting, so... Yeah, I'm not really opposed to doing this because I need some Kirin materials for this game as well. I don't have any... Well, I do have some Kirin materials, just not many. It's one of those monsters that I sort of leave for a rainy day, figuratively speaking. A monster that I try not to fight very often. And obviously I am hunting with suboptimal damage at the moment. I do accept that. Oh, well. Suboptimal damage or not, it is a Kirin. It doesn't have that much health. Kirin Azure Horn, I will certainly take that. Just going to be replacing my supply items. Don't particularly want a Nova Crystal, but sure. Yeah, so you either gather honey or snake bee larva, and that is with a fully upgraded... What's it even called? It is a honey box in this game, but you see... Let's talk about the honey box from Monster Hunter Freedom Unite. And what I'm about to say is in the context of many people not even playing Freedom Unite because it's too rigid and janky, as people say. Well, in Monster Hunter Freedom Unite, you've got a honey box that you go to, and you press the square button, you gather at it, and then you're given like a rewards box, as if you had completed a quest. And then you've got a decent amount of honey in there. With a fully upgraded one, you've probably got, you know, maybe 8 to 10 units of honey, maybe even more. I don't remember precisely how much in that game. But what you'll do is either put it into your inventory or send it to your box. That's great. Well, here in this game, what you do is you press square on that honey box, and you collect 1 at that time. That is a single gather that you've just done. And you'll either get snake bee larva or honey. And you get to gather at that thing usually 3 times, very occasionally 4 times, I think. And it goes into your inventory. No option to send to your box. That's the reality. And obviously I don't have space to actually put these in my pouch because I forgot to sell these 2 things here. The biggest slap in the face of this system is that you just leave these in your box. You don't even get to sell them. For anything that you can't take, you literally leave it behind. You can't even liquidate that into finances or funds. That's it. If you can't take it, you can't benefit from it whatsoever. So, anyway. It's not something that I dwell on while playing the game, it's just that while I'm explaining it to you, I really do almost cringe at how rigid it is, at how uncompromising it is. Here we go, AJ has joined us. I let him know that I was playing and invited him to come. Well, that's a very nice way of saying it, more like I'm begging him to come to make my live stream more successful. I should be honest with these things. Okay, let's put away whatever we've got. I'm assuming I've got space to put away Kirin stuff. If I don't, I won't be surprised. Okay. Oh, no, I don't have space for that. As you can see, I've got 3 pages, and that's it. I press triangle to progress the pages. I cannot go forwards and backwards. I can only go forwards and then return to page 1. Okay, so... what can I get rid of? What do I really not need in here? Insect husk can go. And I'm not even going to sell those for reasons that I need and expand upon. Alright. Oh, and Kirin... no, that did work. Okay, excellent. That's good news. Just being able to auto-sort this stuff feels very modern. I don't know what's happened with that guy who disconnected, by the way. I almost hope that he doesn't come back now that we've got AJ, and the reason why is because if he does come back, he's probably going to want to do Kid in. But I suspect that he's gone and soloed the monster. I'm really hoping that he has soloed the monster. I changed the name so that I could basically reboot everything relating to Monster Hunter, and also so that I can have one channel for non-Monster Hunter stuff and a channel for Monster Hunter stuff. And I changed the Twitch name to the Monster Hunter channel name, basically. Nope, I'm pressing the wrong buttons. Again, I'm used to praying? Yeah, well, get used to praying when you're playing this game. I'm used to pressing circle for pretty much everything. But I'm pressing cross on this occasion. So yeah, you don't have the option to skip this. If you're playing on original hardware, get used to it. Of course, because I'm emulating, I can skip through. Okay, he's posted a Capture the Rathalos quest. I don't know if he was able to solo the thing, but at least you'll be able to see the capture process in first generation. The capturing process in first generation is different in a few ways. You can approach it as you would any other Monster Hunter game, but keep in mind that capturing is capture quest only. You are not given the option to capture monsters outside of capture quests because, unless I'm wrong, maybe I'm thinking of Monster Hunter 1 and Monster Hunter G, but I believe it's also the case in this game that tranks are supply items only. Let's see if I can purchase Trank Shot. If I can purchase Trank Shot, then that's that information out the window, and obviously proven incorrect, but I just want to see. And basically, in Monster Hunter 1 and Monster Hunter G, it is supply only, so unless they change that. The fact that I can't buy Trank Shot, I believe, is proof that I can't combine for it either. So, basically, if you're in a capture quest, you can capture as normal, but there is also the option to use the tranks to put the monster to sleep without being in a trap, believe it or not. You can throw tranks at a monster, 2 of them will just put it to sleep. I would recommend doing that, personally, but you don't have to. It just feels like a more controlled way of doing it. And, yep, that's a good way of describing it. You can say, AJ has described it as saying that they are basically sleep knives, and that's true. They work in that way, but just imagine, like, really potent sleep knives. You only need 2 to be thrown. And then once the monster's in a trap, normally you'll have to throw another one, or maybe another, well, 2 in total, once the monster's in a trap. Because if you think about it, you haven't pre-tranked the monster, you've actually put it to sleep. So you do need to throw more tranks at that point. Assuming we're doing Rathalos, I will bring a water weapon. That's another thing that is worth mentioning. There is no ice element in this game. There isn't just a total lack of cold well, I guess you get cold areas, you know, like caves and stuff. But there is a total lack of snowy areas and indeed ice element in general. So, therefore, you will be familiar with the fact that the primary weakness of a Rathalos in second generation is ice element. Well, in the absence of ice element, must be water. So, I don't know, I'll bring a water something, maybe White Disaster. What the hell am I doing with that? That is obviously an armor set in progress that I am still working on. Let's bring the Sharpness +1 set. That's what I want with this weapon, for sure. Because this is an old G-rank game, you can definitely get by with green sharpness. But obviously, when you have the option to have a big chunk of white, do that. You're going to be dealing much more damage. But yeah, this is the white Monoblos lance. Obviously, you've got the Plesioth lance as an option. That's what I use in Monster Hunter 1. But this weapon deals a pretty fat amount of damage. Apparently this guy has gone and departed on his quest solo. I don't know what possessed him to do that. let me figure this out. Obviously, I wasn't here at the time that he departed, so he may have explained himself when he did that. But do we know for sure that he isn't cycling quests or something? Let's see what AJ's posted. Possibly just a slaying quest for Rathalos. Oh, for goodness sake. I suspect that the Kirin that he posted was actually... Well, no, it couldn't have been high rank. Wyverns of the Land and Sky. That's hopefully the standard one. So the brilliant thing is, when I was talking about the... I'm sure he's posted the standard one, but basically when I was talking about the fact that you need to memorize the names of the quests, this is where it gets crazy. You can actually have multiple quests with the same name. So you're not actually told which monsters are in the quest. So, believe it or not, the only way to know which monsters it is, so for example, this is Wyverns of the Land and Sky, that is Rathalos and Rathian, the only way to know which Wyverns of the Land and Sky you're doing, whether it is Standard Rathalos and Rathian, Azure Rathalos and Pink Rathian, or Gold Rathian and Silver Rathalos, is to look at the reward and contract fee. I think specifically the reward fee. The lowest is going to be the Standard, the middle one, the next highest reward fee is going to be Azure and Pink, and then the highest reward will be for the Metal Wraths. When they could just put a fucking picture, or not even a picture. I don't need a picture. Just tell me what it is. Alright, so he's posted the silver and gold, so I will bring thunder damage in that case, because water is ideal for Silver Rathalos, but not quite as good for gold. Wyverns of the Land and Sky. I don't think I have a Thunder Lance yet, because that would require Kirin materials. I intend to make the Kirin Lance. What should I bring instead? Maybe a hammer, just for fun. Don't really want to bring the King Lobster hammer, it's not very good. What should I bring instead? Nocturne Gigaton, perhaps? Or I suppose I could demonstrate that greatsword that I should have really used. What am I doing? Don't you think it's rather strange that the option to edit an equipment set appears before choosing a set to equip? I've always found that fucking bizarre. But that's just me. I'm using my auto-tracker set this time because we do have 2 monsters in the area that we're fighting, so I'm going to make use of that. Okay, so we're going to bring the Devil Slicer, that's what it's called. It's definitely very focused on thunder damage, but it's still decent raw damage as well. It's not too bad. So this is one of the more common weapons that you'll see in this game. I think because it's very easy to forge. When you're going through early G rank, it's going to be the easiest of the greatswords for you to fully upgrade. Something that's worth mentioning as well, that you may not have noticed, when you come into the online area, everyone's invisible. That's because the total number of people that you can have in one hall is 10 people. Now, they don't really care about this in Monster Hunter 1 and Monster Hunter G, but they don't want it to be too overcrowded in this room. And I think the reason why is because this is the only part of the online session that you can interact with. This is the only location. So, in Monster Hunter 1 and G, you're actually in Mineguard Village, Mineguard City, whatever you want to say. I think they say Mineguard Town. It's actually called the Town mode. All 10 of these people don't have to all be crammed in the one room at the same time. It's obviously possible that will happen, but it's not always going to be that way. You're going to have people in the smithy, people at home, people going around the town and buying wares. Whereas here, this is the only place you can go. So what they've done to make it a little less crammed in the event that you've got 10 people is that you will only be able to see the people that you've joined up on the same quest as. So as soon as I join up on this quest, I will be able to see AJ and Akaya. They will fade into view like so. Apparently, AJ is using White Disaster very well. He's got Wind. I really quite like that set. But I just can't pass up on the opportunity to use Sharpness +1. Wind resistance is a great thing to have in first generation Monster Hunter. It's very commonly seen in the Endgame of Monster Hunter 1. Not sure about Monster Hunter G, but I suspect it would be. But it's also very useful here in Freedom 1 because all of first gen is going to be pretty unpleasant when it comes to wind pressure. We do have a spot for you. Nagakuka in the chat. It's up to these guys if they want a paintball. I don't really need a paintball, but I don't need two paintball. That was an excellent start to the fight. Just an immediate tail swing in my face. So obviously the novelty of having a longsword, but one that's being used as a greatsword, is something that you can enjoy in this hunt, if it is something that you're not used to seeing. The way that I'm using it right here is the way you're expected to use it. There's no other method, really. And that's it. Something that is worth mentioning. When you sit down and play Monster Hunter Freedom 1, you are going to experience bad input detection. So you will be pressing the buttons, but no input is going to occur. I don't have this problem, because I've installed something that will fix that. Now, for some reason, people experience issues even with it. I don't understand that. I installed it, and I have absolutely no problems. I have basically perfect input detection. It's not as good as a modern Monster Hunter game, but it's absolutely nothing like without the workaround. If you can't use the workaround, or you don't know what it's called, I can't remember what it's called. But if you don't have access to that, or you can't work out how to do it, or for some reason it's unavailing and doesn't improve your circumstances, you can play the Japanese version. But I guess, because you don't really get the same input detection issues in the Japanese version. That's what I used to do. But yeah. I would recommend either playing the Japanese version or the US version. If you play the European version, very frustratingly, you can't actually play Japanese DLC quests. You can only do that with the Japanese, obviously, and US versions of the game. Not many people actually have access to the DLC quests anymore, it has to be said. Well, that was a nice quick hunt. That is obviously one of the downsides to playing with a very good team. You end up having very quick hunts. Can you imagine if we added another person? Well, we're about to. You needn't imagine. I suppose you're welcome to imagine now, but very soon you will be experiencing it. Okay, let me get rid of the chat. It's fucking ugly, isn't it? It's just that stupid white thing behind me. Immersion breaking is how I have described it in the past. We did hose her down. She's incapacitated. Well, not just incapacitated, she is dead. So she's not doing much now. So this quest is very good if you need money in the game. I would recommend breaking the Rathalos' wings and then selling the wings. You get stupid money from this. And that is honestly one thing that you will need all the time. You will constantly need money in first generation, unless of course you're not really forging much. But if you're like me and you're constantly forging weapons, you're simply not going to have the finances for it. So you will have to grind money. The best way to grind money in Monster Hunter is to hunt the monsters and sell the rewards that you get. But there will be certain quests that are more effective for that than others. Probably wasn't that necessary for me to use my auto-tracker loadout, was it? You can actually upswing the monster as he comes down, and that can often be very useful. Very effective. Oh my god. Can you believe the tail hit me from that position? It's obviously a very expertly crafted attack that is designed to hit you from ridiculous positions in relation to the monster. So when he swings that tail, when he wiggles that tail, really, it's dangerous business. You need to stay the hell away from it. Alright, I will sharpen up. Seeing as though I start with white. And he managed to cancel out my sharpening. Thank you very much. I'll try to do that upswinging that I was talking about. If you can aim it on the wing, that's really the ideal situation. You just have to start it before the... Sorry, AJ, this is why I'm not doing upswinging, you see. Upswinging is very normalized in first generation Monster Hunter because you don't have charge attacks, right? So upswinging is actually a decent attack, whereas it's not quite as decent in the later Monster Hunter games. Obviously, the art of upswinging is something I really need to work on. Or at least the timing. My fear is that I'm going to get affected by the wind pressure. That's why I'm attacking preemptively like that. Or rather, prematurely, is what I mean to say. AJ, I don't know if you're trying to align yourself with my upswinging, but I can assure you I'm not aligning with you, so... Maybe I'm just going to stop doing that. Because I've managed to hit him every single time. He sure is. Or at least he was once I mentioned it. That is the most annoying thing that Rathalos does. Sometimes he will just jump from side to side. He will go from one side of the area to the next, repeatedly, with that stupid running attack that he does. A sort of a run-fly attack. There you go. So that's what I'm talking about, where you upswing the wing and then he just lands hard on the ground. It's quite satisfying. We'll try it again. AJ's looking to go for a ride. Looks like... oh yeah. That's one way to end things. Wouldn't it be great if AJ is just flying through the air in the final shot? We'll see how that pans out. So, it's not Rathalos webbing that's good to sell, it's the Silver Rathalos wing. That's what you want for good money, by the way. Probably more likely to get it as a wound reward. Break reward. So yeah, that is one of the more difficult quests. Well, I shouldn't say difficult quests of G-Rank. The reality, and this is something that is unique to first generation, is that your double quests will not just be easier in terms of monster health, but monster damage. They actually make the monsters weaker in every way when you do a double quest. If you do a single monster, you will be taking more damage. Which is something that I didn't even immediately notice. I don't think it was until someone actually mentioned it to me that I stood back and realized, wow, they're right. Because obviously having played every generation of Monster Hunter before first gen, well, technically, that's not the case, because I did go back and play Monster Hunter 1 a long time ago, but I didn't play it seriously. But I think because you're so used to that not being the case, you don't even notice when suddenly you're taking more damage. And, yeah, it's a weird feature of this game. When you're hunting two monsters, as you can see, it can be difficult to accommodate for two monsters' materials in your pouch. This is fucking ridiculous. I'm going to put away these flash bombs soon. I'm assuming that I can. Obviously, you were able to see that I'm I'm up to my neck in materials in my box right now. I don't have much room for anything. I don't want to get rid of my pickaxes, though. This is just ridiculous. This is a stack of 3. I don't want to leave that behind. Okay, antidotes have to go then. These are the agonizing experiences that you will have. It's 2 claws. If it were 1, I probably wouldn't do it. Alright. No, hold on. Yeah, let's do that. Fuck it. So long, Psycho Serum. No, I didn't want to put away those whetstones, because it was like 17 of them. So, the honey gathering experience. It's not much of an experience, although it is. 2 things can be simultaneously true. 1. Yeah, insect husk actually, not necessarily. That's the beauty of it. It can be insect husk, snake bee larva, or honey. Let's just reduce the chances that we'll get honey. Why not? Oh, brilliant. So we've got 1 honey so far, and that's it. So we got 1 honey from our gathering experience today. Now, apparently if you talk to your cats, you can get 5 honey sometimes. I didn't know that. It's good knowledge, good information. Okay, well I got 1 honey out of that. That was amazing. Don't know what I'd do. Don't know what I'd do without it. Oh, I can't put away these wings. Let me find something I really don't need again. This can be a stressful experience. I want those pale extracts. Okay, maybe I'll sell these. I'll sell the stack of 13 and then I'll put these wings away. Because if I've been selling Silver Rathalos wings for money, if I need them at any point, I'm likely not to have them at all because I've been selling them. So, there you have it. Alright, let's get some money from pale extracts. And, I don't know, we'll try and combine some... We'll combine 1 Mega Potion. How about that? Does that fill you with excitement? Yeah. And that's how you do it, ladies and gentlemen. Because if your honey is only going to be in your pouch, you can't exactly combine it in the box, so that means you have to take out the combo books and put them back in. That's the experience. It's pretty special. And I said I was going to put away that flash bomb, but I cannot. I do not have a stack of flash bombs in there, so it just gets better and better. Put on your combo armor. Yeah, I need to go and get that, don't I? Looks like we still haven't decided on a quest yet. How about... what would be fun? I suppose I'm seeing a lot of Diablos appearing in my face right now. A lot of Diablos quests. And you know what? I'm feeling Gravios. Let's do... I think I need Gravios. So let's do standard Gravios. I don't want to do black. I think I need some standard Gravios materials. For what? I can't really remember. Oh, it's for the lance, I think. I think I need it for the lance. So let's do standard Gravios, just on his own. You could see that there were 2 Gravios quests there, or perhaps you couldn't see it, but that is the situation. There were 2. And I will bring a water weapon. Maybe I'll bring... a gun. I will bring Destiny's Arm. Or is it Destiny's Hand in this game? Let's have a look. It's Destiny's Hand. It's Destiny's Arm in 4th gen. Or perhaps even in 2nd. I don't use this weapon in that series, or in that series of games, to complete the sentence. Alright. The good thing about this weapon is that it shoots all elements in this game, so... Okay. Just standard Gravios. I think I need Gravios wings, that sounds about right. And this time I will bring cool drinks. You will have noticed that despite the fact that I bring both types of drinks in every single game except a first-gen game, I went without for every quest up until this point. Well, here I am actually getting some. I'm only going to bring 2. Okay. Remember this. I did mention this, I think, in my Freedom Unite recording, but it was on the subject of really bad translations, actually, so this must have been my portable 3rd recording, excuse me. And I said that one of the worst examples of a bad translation in Monster Hunter was in Monster Hunter Freedom 1, where they called Water Shot Ice Shot, which is a result, obviously, of a translator not knowing the difference between the kanji characters for water and ice. They are very, very similar, I will admit, but it's kind of a basic Japanese language thing to know and understand. I'm going to bring Pierce Shots, level 2, and that should be plenty for this quest, particularly with a group of 4 people, and I can see that it's turning into a bit of a gunner fest. Check out everyone's sets. Homnos is using Auto Tracker, High Grade Earplugs, and Spectre's Whim. Interesting. It sort of makes sense because Gravios is one of those monsters that can do an extended roar and then attack you while you're still under the effects of a roar, so it's definitely appropriate to use High Grade Earplugs. Looks like they've both gone with that choice. And then Cushion is doing Pierce Up. In my case, I'm doing Pierce Up and Attack Up Small. As you can see, the armor skills in this game are pretty basic. First gen armor skills are going to be very different to what you would be familiar with in, say, Freedom Unite or a 3rd gen game. Just less of them. Some full armor sets will give you a number of skills, but if you want to tailor-make a set to a particular situation, you are going to have to accept that you won't have as many skills as you will in later Monster Hunter games. Now, the interesting thing is that even if you consume a cool drink, A, you get no indicator next to your name to say that you have a cool drink in effect, and B, if I stop here, and I don't want to get attacked by an Apsaros, if I stop, you'll see that I'm still doing this animation. In later Monster Hunter games, I don't know if it's beginning in DOS, but it's definitely a 2nd gen feature. If you're drinking a cool drink, this animation will cease to take place. And, yeah, so I'm going to shoot my Ice Shot. Also, in this game, I don't think you can go into a walking reload. In other words, unsheath into a reload. I think you have to unsheath and then reload as separate animations. I just tried there. Maybe I just pressed the wrong buttons. But, anyway. Now, not everything is more difficult in 1st generation, it has to be said. In the case of Gravios, he's considerably easier. In 2nd generation, he was given a new attack, which was a horizontal sweeping beam. He doesn't do it in this game. His beam is unidirectional every single time, so if you're gunning this monster, you're winning. It's as simple as that. Okay, Pitfall Traps. What's different about Pitfall Traps in this game? You deal double damage while the monster is in a Pitfall Trap. Pretty incredible, isn't it? So yeah, Pitfall Traps are probably the most effective way to cheese a monster in this game. If you've got a lot of Pitfall Traps, you're going to be annihilating everything you fight. Cushion has some lovely recoil there. Let me try to demonstrate that. Pow. That was exactly how the gun sounds. I don't know what possessed me to make that noise, but... anyway. As you can see, my Ice Shot is piercing rather effectively through the monster. Needless to say, Pierce Up is not going to increase your damage with a piercing elemental shot. Or perhaps it will, I doubt it. Because technically elemental shots do have a small component of, or a small amount of raw damage that they deal, but I suspect literally even if you've got a piercing effect with an elemental shot that deals, you know, piercing raw damage, it's only going to work with pierce shots. That is the pierce up armor skill. Nope. I don't know if it was entirely necessary for us to be doing paralysis, but that's alright. I understand the desire to min-max, to lock down the monster and have the most effective fight possible, but you know, 4 of us gunning down a Gravios is already going to be a pretty quick process. The paralysis definitely feels like overkill. Case in point. Pretty good if I wanted to grind him though. Which I will do in my own time, but obviously for purposes of enjoyable recording, I'm not going to grind the same monster. But yes, Gravios wings are the rare drop for this monster as I recall, and that is what I need. I think I'm making the Gravios Fire Lance and the Poison Lance. So that's the interesting thing about Gravios. You can take a fire path or a poison path, and as I recall, I want both of them. I don't have many lances in this game. The weapon types that I don't have many examples of, many forged weapons of, are dual blades and lance. I think I've got 2 dual blades and maybe 3 lances, something like that. I really should be taking this opportunity to mine, but I really shouldn't be laughing through my nose and then directing the air straight into the diaphragm of my microphone. That is really bad practice. But I've chosen not to put a windscreen on my microphone because, you know, it's this giant thing that often covers my face. Trying to avoid it. But I have to say that I did sound better when I had my voice going directly into the diaphragm with the windscreen on. It just doesn't look as good, you know. It's always a compromise, isn't it? There is always a compromise somewhere in one's recording setup. There isn't much one can do about it. Obviously, I only needed 1 cool drink during that quest, but I had another one just as a contingency. I do hope Discord was muted. Yes, it was. I've ended up with 3 messages on Discord since I went live, so I was quite aghast when I was considering the possibility that I had Discord notifications coming through on my live stream. It has happened before. Alright, oh, apparently Akaya is leaving us. That's a shame. Well, I'm very glad that it didn't turn into like a 2-person hunting session with just Akaya and myself. It very nearly did. It easily could have turned into that. Because when I started this live stream, or rather just before I started, I suppose as I was setting up, there was a group of 3 people playing, and then of course just as I came in, it went from 3 to 1. So in other words, 2. By the time I came in, and yeah, the only reason why I was able to continue was because we've got Akaya, who plays very regularly, and yeah, if there were more people playing this game regularly, I suspect I would record it for you more often. Skipping through this again. Alright, do we want to try our hand at the honey one more time? I'm sure we can do better than 1 this time. I'm pretty sure that I mentioned it before, but it is possible to get 0. So, believe it or not, what you saw previously was not the worst case scenario. It can get worse from there. We can do dual Plesioth. Oh, come on. Give me 3, give me 3. Sorry, give me 2 rather. No, 1 again. You'll see that there's nothing left. Well, we got another single honey, ladies and gentlemen, but I'm not going to take the time to combine for one mega potion a second time. I'll try to accumulate some honey before I waste my time taking my combo books out again. Twice in a row, getting only one honey, it has to be said, is uncommon. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that that's the normal experience. That's pretty bad. I suppose the point that should be focused upon is that it's actually possible for that to happen. It shouldn't be possible that you gather your honey and you get one. There aren't many handouts in first generation Monster Hunter, it has to be said. You have to do much of this yourself. Yeah, so if we're doing dual Plesioth, I'll actually bring something that deals thunder damage. So, what would be a good choice? How about Sword and Shield? Sword and Shield is very strong in this game. They accidentally gave it a damage multiplier that is way higher than any other weapon type, and it was a mistake. We can assume it was a mistake. I can't remember what the multiplier was. It was like 1.5 times damage. It may have even been more than that. It certainly wasn't double damage. It was like, let's just say 1.5 times damage, just for free. Just added on to whatever it was intended to be originally. It's ridiculous. As much as I want to call it a glitch that shouldn't be taken advantage of, it's the entire weapon type. So I'm not going to prevent myself from using an entire weapon type. In fact, one of my favorite weapon types, just because the damage is glitched out on it. But yes, the Sword and Shield is your choice of weapon, believe it or not, here in this particular game, if you want a very, very strong weapon. And it is per hit, yes. %50 more damage in Freedom 1, highest raw Sword and Shield, or rather the the highest raw Sword and Shield in this game deals the same amount of damage as the highest raw Greatsword, which is pretty rough. I'm assuming this is the Shining Wyvern Blade. Before we depart on this quest, I'm going to take care of something. I'll be back momentarily. I'm back. My girlfriend's just heading off to work, so just wanted to see her before she left. Okay. So yeah, this is the Kirin Bolt Indora. Now, or Indra. You've got different translations. It's Indra in first gen, or at least the the unofficial translation. I don't know what it would have been called. Probably Indora again in the official English translation, but I don't use the official English translation for Monster Hunter 1. Because I'm actually playing Monster Hunter 1 JP, the Japanese version. The one that doesn't have dual blades. Oh fuck. Again, here I am pressing circle. I'm never going to get used to that. Where is this located? I should have checked that. In the jungle, so I don't need any drinks, but I'll just keep the cool drink that I've got. What are our loadouts today? Cushion's using Death Stench, it looks like? No. It's just Crimson Fatalis Waste. Looked a bit like Death Stench. So just Sharpness +1 on its own? That's a lot of mixing and matching of arm pieces just to get one skill, man. And then we've got Attack Up Medium, Good Luck, Divine Protection, Strength, and -20. What strength? Is that defense? Strength -20. What does that refer to? That must be defense down, isn't it? But that doesn't make sense. They do defense. Oh, it's health. Okay, sorry. Strength -20 is actually health -20. What a fucking joke. Strength. Honestly, the translations. It's hard to put up with this shit, isn't it? Yeah, the translations here are Indora, but that's because that's literally what's written in Japanese. You would localize it by saying Indra. But yes, it is Indora in Japanese. It's just how they've done it here. But this weapon is not really Kirin heavy. You can see that actually, for the most part, it's based off the Gypsero Sword and Shield, and that's because it's part of that upgrade path. It's the final version of that. I'm sure it requires Kirin materials, but not many. It's still mostly Gypseros. I could actually be correct in saying it doesn't require any Kirin materials. So AJ's probably going to shoot a crag shot at this guy. Because you don't actually need sonic bombs necessarily. Crag shots can work. Let's see what we've got. He's doing a lot of swimming though. Oh no, he's just shooting him, normally. But yeah, that's, if you don't have sonic bombs, just bring something like crag shots. As soon as you get the explosion, that'll actually pull him straight out of the water. I'm not contributing much here, as you can tell. I'm just sort of standing here watching. Cushion's attempting to contribute. And singularly failing to do so. I suppose it's the attempt that matters. This is a really big one. This is a gigantic Plesioth. He's a big monster in any event, but fucking hell. Look at the size of him. Obviously there's no prospect of hitting the body. In the case of this Plesioth, my god. It's just a body. When he's doing the... That's a great explanation to him. Like, it's just a body. Quite right. My point is that when he's doing the hip check, you can't really see what the hell's going on. It's just a body moving around. There's like nothing defined about it. He's just too big. Can't get over it. Even when he's paralyzed, I just have to keep aiming for the legs because that's all I can reach. If you put this thing next to World Eater Devil Drone, it wouldn't look that much smaller. Oops. And obviously because we're in the jungle, there's a whole load of foliage that we have to be looking at instead of the monster. That's the key. You have to start off with looking at the foliage and then you can go looking for the monster. Because for some reason, when you're in the jungle, it's the environment that takes precedence over fighting the monster. See, I just want to look at a bush, or a tree in this case. Whoa! I was probably staring at the tree a little bit too intently. That's a nasty combo. Fine, I'll take advantage of the paralysis. He's dead. That was fast. Oh, here I am trying to heal with my weapon out. That is a feature, by the way, from Monster Hunter DOS. A really annoying feature, I might mention, from DOS, and I'll tell you why. So just to make it very clear, you can't actually heal with your weapon out with a sword and shield in first generation. But when they introduced that function in DOS, it made me want to just pull my hair out, because how it works is instead of sheathing your weapon with square, You sheathe your weapon with circle, and you heal with square with your weapon out. That's how they did it. And it is so confusing. Because I'm never going to press circle to sheathe my weapon, it just doesn't happen, okay? That's one of the main reasons why I downloaded the Break Arts, Modern Combat, whatever they call it. I call it Modern Combat. Basically, it makes it so that Monster Hunter DOS will actually play like, say, Freedom 1. It's going to have the same control scheme. It doesn't have the PlayStation 2 control scheme, and honestly, the main reason why I did it... This is crazy. Every time I pause my stream, it just starts playing again. Fucking stop it. It's distracting to have the same thing down there. Anyway, that is the main reason why I did it. It's so that I didn't have the stupid... Okay, so imagine you got your weapon out. If I press square here, it sheathes it, but in that game, it will drink the potion. And I can't sheathe my weapon unless I press circle. So you can imagine that here I am trying to do like an attack with circle, but instead I'm sheathing the weapon. It's just so stupid. Or probably, no, the most common scenario is I'm trying to sheath my weapon and I drink a potion or I do something. I use some material that I've got instead. It was just a terrible idea. The idea to heal with your weapon out, great idea. But, and not something that I disagree with. But definitely doing it in a way that forces you to completely relearn how to use the weapon type, that was not a good idea, and I suspect that if they thought it was a good idea, they would have continued doing that. But no, they made it so that you had to hold your shield up and then press circle. Or, sorry, hold your shield up, then press square in order to do it. Which is a much better idea. Just forcing you to press another button, just to make sure that this is what you intend to do when you press square. And with Break Arts downloaded and installed on Monster Hunter DOS, you can actually do that. You can hold up your shield and press square in order to do that, and really glad that they included that feature. So yeah, just a minor Monster Hunter DOS complaint there. Or perhaps a not so minor Monster Hunter DOS complaint. Pretty game-breaking, or enjoyment-destroying, if you're someone like me and is very enthusiastic about the Sword and Shield weapon type. But yeah, I was able to talk about a difference that you can experience here in Monster Hunter Freedom 1, and also managed to fit in a complaint about DOS, all in the one point. Obviously, one of the downsides to having a gigantic monster like this is that the legs are A, your main target, and then B, they're constantly moving around. Needless to say, the monster is walking. Well, not anymore, but when the monster is walking, you've basically got these limbs just moving all over the place. Not only is it annoying as a target, they're also hitting you. Because monsters do hit you just by moving around or turning here in the older games. Ugh. Nightmarish stuff. Of course, we get a generous 4 calves from Piscine Wyverns. In the case of this game, your only Piscine Wyverns are Plesioth and Cephadrome. Lavazioth wasn't introduced until Monster Hunter Freedom Unite, as a carryover from Monster Hunter Frontier. Probably a good thing. The less Lavazioth you have to experience, the better. Some people quite like that monster. I do not. What do you got over here? Oh. Alright, I'll sit on your face, seeing as though you're requesting it. Trample damage? Yeah, that's actually a good... That's good terminology, P-Berry. I think that's communicative and accurate. That wasn't too difficult, was it? Obviously it was unpleasant. Yeah, I had a feeling that would be the largest Plesioth I'd met so far. Encountered. If I say met, it sounds like we had a conversation or something. Yeah, that is a gigantic Plesioth. That is larger than my last Gold Crown large. It's worth mentioning that there are no small crowns in this game, I don't believe. I believe in first generation Monster Hunter you only record the largest monster that you fight. So in other words, you get a silver crown or a gold crown, and there's no specifying, or the reason why they don't specify whether it's large or small is because you don't actually record your really large ones. Now, I'm going to show you something truly mind-breaking about this game. Guild cards. This is the first game that has guild cards, and it shows. So if you've got a guild card, guess what? If I go to guild card and examine, you'd expect to be looking at your own guild card, wouldn't you? Nah. So, how do I see my own guild card? I've got confirm to look at other people's guild cards. I've got return to go back, and I've got select to delete a guild card. What's going on? Let me show you how to access it. So let's go back. To see your own guild card, you go to edit, and then examine with square. That is how you see your own guild card. So not examine here. Like, just, why? There's just absolutely no need to do that whatsoever. Just have 3 options. Or have the edit option be on the guild card screen. Like, open up your guild card first, and then maybe have square to go to edit your screen. Or, this is... I don't know. It just drives me insane. So you go here, examine, there's your guild card. Fuck me sideways. So if I go... Yeah, you can see I don't do treasure hunting. Yeah, so you've only got single crowns here. That's all you get. There's no mention of small or large, it's just large. So, there you have it. Give, obviously, is to give other people your guild card, and I probably will do that. I don't think I've given these guys my guild card. Let's see if I've got AJ's guild card. I might. Yeah, he's already given me his guild card, so... No, relatively recently. That's Zach, by the way. How did I only get his guild card then? That doesn't sound right. I suppose I didn't get his guild card during the first F1 Resurrection F. Just a bit of trivia for those of you who actually play Hunsterverse, you'll be familiar with F1 Resurrection F. I was present for the very first F1 Resurrection F in 2018, and at the time I thought it was just a one-off. I didn't realize that every single time you gathered 10 people in that hall, you'd be able to unlock the achievement roll. At that time I thought, oh, that's nice. I was here for a nice one-off achievement roll. No. The plan, it turned out, was to have that be a constant thing. So yeah, it's a good idea. It encourages people to come on and play this game and give it a try. Basically, you get an achievement for getting 10 people in one hall. Initially, we were doing Hall A, and then we moved into Hall F because we thought it would be more of an achievement that way, more like it was deliberate, as opposed to random. So, yeah, I've actually got a screenshot from that. There were a number of people who were there at the time. Previously familiar faces who are no longer with us. I shouldn't say that, that sounds like they're dead. But they sort of are. When you disappear on the internet, you kind of do die in a way. And that is the nature of online anonymity, which I'm sure we've all grown up with. There's a little bit less of that now. Don't you find that strange when people are like chatting on YouTube with their full name and a photo of themselves? I'm just sitting there going, what are you... Why? It's strange, but it won't be too long until that sensation becomes very representative of an older generation, which sounds so strange to say, but it's true. Anyway, here I am struggling once again with my box space. This is a bit of a theme. Do you know the worst thing about all of this? If I, for example, wanted to grind rust or ancient weapons. I'm going to sneeze in a moment, one sec. Let's not do kidding. We actually already have done kidding. Let's not do it, please. Ugh. I'm not crying at the prospect of doing kidding. I've got something in my eye. If, for example, I wanted to... What I'm actually crying about is what I'm about to say. If I, for example, wanted to grind an ancient weapon, and I wanted to, just in the meantime, stock my stones, you can't stack them. So you've been seeing how I've been struggling with my materials here. Imagine, like, trying to get space for 5 of them, even, to put in your box. It's just absurd. Truly absurd. It's nose-blowing time. Fear not, I will not subject you to it. Apparently the best part of the stream would be to watch me blow my nose, which is not exactly a roaring endorsement of what's been seen so far. What can I put away? Seriously, what the fuck? Just something. Something that I don't really need. Once we start getting into here, there's nothing that I want to do away with. That's the problem. What would I part with? You know, the coins. The coins, do I really need those? Ugh. That's what's crazy. It's not like I have all the coins. I haven't done much training. So, what if I want to start getting coins? Where am I going to put them? It's just ridiculous. White Velociprey scale piece. Why do you need to say piece? Just say scale. Why are you making life so difficult for yourself? Scale piece. Well, it's not like there's a White Velociprey scale. Why is it important that you tell me that it's only a piece of a scale? Seriously. I don't understand. Thunderbug. Well, that's useful. I'm going to need that at some point. I don't know when, but I'm sure I will eventually. My brain's about to boil. Do I just take my raw meat out? Let's just take my raw meat out. That could be interpreted as meaning something else. Like how my purple cat, named Donald, is just relaxing. Time to give him something to do. I'm a little bit concerned about... Oh, I was about to say I'm concerned about my green cat. But no, he's just an apple. That's alright. Thought maybe he was sick. My cat is very ill. He's turned green. Oh, wait, no, he's just an apple. A green apple. Green apples are nice, hey? When was the last time you had a green apple? Granny Smith apple? Really nice. Underrated. If you want the weapon that needs the king meat, you need 30 barbecue tickets. 30. Jesus. I shouldn't be surprised. I'm assuming that's the hammer. That's the big piece of meat, isn't it? Or the ham. No, the ham, isn't it? I can't think of any other meat-related weapon. The hammer, yes. Oh my god. Totally not worth it, just to be clear. It's purely for appearances. Is it a fire hammer in this game? I don't think it is. It is in the later versions, but it's probably just a raw hammer in this game. And yeah, oh, I think we got two honey that time. Wow. I feel so privileged. to be in possession of not one, not two, but just two. I feel honored and privileged to be in possession of not one, but 2 pieces of honey. Fuck me. Hopefully you now no longer need to wonder why I don't have 10 mega potions in my inventory. After seeing my box space and seeing the adversity that I've had to endure, to get this stuff should be pretty obvious. Where the hell have my did I already put away my combo books? Wow. The things that you do without even paying attention. Okay. So, what's our next weapon? Sorry. What's our next quest? Which will obviously, flowing from that will be choosing another weapon type, but I don't know what's coming, so... Oh. Yeah, I'll have a look at it in the weapon crafting menu, but are you given weapon previews in the crafting menu? Oh, Shinju. Here we go. What does Shinju want to do? Oh, he's already gone. Did he say that he wanted to do something? Create weapon. Oh yeah, that's a different thing in first generation Monster Hunter. You know the idea that you would choose what weapon type you wanted to forge? Oh no, that's not a thing here. You just go through one really, really long list and eventually find what you want. So again, if I go here, you can see it looks like it's in ascending order for like strong weapons and then less strong weapons, and then you'll find that it'll just go back randomly to weak weapons again. So you can see here, these look pretty good, and then it'll be sort of back to shitty ones again, and it's all over the place. Absolutely all over the place. So let's just look for whatever hammer that is. The hammer. I'm not seeing it, and I suspect that it's because I'm not paying attention. But yeah, there's no weapon previews, unfortunately, so there's not really any need for me to check it. Oh, Shinju is HR1. Well, let's not indulge him in that case. Or lend a hand in any way, shape, or form. Which is rather rough to say. Very unaccommodating. But I'm doing a live stream where I'm trying to hunt with a full G-rank team, so it is neither the time nor the place. How about Kezu? We haven't done Kezu yet. Oh, what is that? The Thunderous Duo. I haven't done this quest? Oh, that must be double red Kezu, is that right? So is there a double standard and a double red? There must be. I haven't done this. Okay, let's do double red Kezu. I didn't intend to post it, I can assure you of that, because I'm using a Thunder Sword and Shield. Not a good idea. I can't imagine Thunder Damage deals damage to Kezu in his red form either. Oh, it's called Enormous Ham. Okay. Yeah, Nagakuka or Cushion is screaming about it in the chat. Seeing as though it's going to be a water weak monster, I will bring some dual blades. A rather new weapon type, the newest weapon type of this generation of Monster Hunter. I don't know what KGC actually stands for, so there you have it. Alright. The Thunderous Duo, Red Kezu version. This time we're probably going to want hot drinks, so I will sell my cool drink, just to be thorough. And bring hot drinks. So I do always eat for 150 health and stamina, but it's very important that you have lots of stamina for these dual blades, because what happens is, if you're in demonized mode, and a monster roars at you, in the later games, your stamina will stop depleting. But in this game, your stamina will continue to deplete as you're holding your ears during a roar. So, yeah, bring lots of stamina. Or make sure that you have a lot on hand, because otherwise, you're not going to get much done. About an hour and a half into the live stream. Definitely glad that I started at like 6:30. Because yeah, I've got things planned for today. And these things do get in the way of live streaming. It has to be said. So I did a nice early one, just so that I'm not, for the second week in a row, failing to go live on a Sunday. Or Saturday night for those of you further west of me. There's the Gravios Venom Spear. Oh, I'm being given something. Here we go. Take item. Well, don't go down there. Thank you for that. I've been given Mega Juice. I will avail myself of that. I almost departed without... Oh, by the way, there is no readying up bell bell sound. There's no readying up bell sound when you ready up in this game, which can be annoying if you're just off doing something else, waiting for your team to get ready, and then actually they've been ready for ages, and you've just been waiting for the bell sound. It's amazing what you get used to. Like, I didn't realize, for example, that I would really listen out for the bell sound, but when I played this game for the first time regularly, I realized how much I was listening out for that sound, because I would constantly be in a situation where the team just had no idea where I was. Or, sorry, where I had no idea that the team was waiting for me. So if I ever say random things, it's because it's probably crossing over between what I'm thinking in my head and what I'm actually saying. What I was thinking in my head is that these guys are physically very far from where I am. I've paintballed that Kezu. It would be most appropriate at this stage for me to go and fight the one over there. Apparently it's much easier to get a Gold Crown Lounge for the Kezu in this particular quest. I don't know why, it's a bit random, isn't it? But is it because it's easier to get a large crown with red Kezu, or is it just a strange quirk of this particular quest that it spawns a large one more often? I don't know. Alright. I may as well use one of these. No, do you know what? Thank you for the Mega Juice. I'm not actually going to use it for this quest. I'm going to save these for when I'm doing Fatalis. Because when you're hunting Fatalis in this game, one of the techniques that you'll often encounter is one person running Paralysis and 3 people running Dragon Dual Blades and then Demon Dancing the head. Very important that you have Power Juice or Mega Juice. Oh god. And the dual blades of choice for that quest are usually the Ancient Dual Blades. The Eternal Schism. Just for the very high dragon damage. Ends up being more effective than the Lao Shan Lung Dual Blades. Just using standard potions here, nice and slowly. That is not great. I regret wasting my time using standard potions. You motherfucker! What a bastard of a monster. And then obviously I'm struggling with my camera as well because I'm up against the wall. Obviously you get a little bit more mobility when you don't have demonized mode in effect, just because you can actually do that advance forward attack. It's the triangle plus circle, which obviously becomes demon dance when you're in demonized mode. Sometimes Kezu really likes to walk around here for a while. It can be very stressful. Not insofar as you're expecting the monster to drop on you, or you're worried about the possibility of that. It's more that you just want the monster to come down onto the fucking ground, and he just doesn't. Alright, I'll just stand still then. I find that standing still actually makes it better. Or increases the chance that he's going to come down. Because that's what it is, if you're moving around, he's just constantly trying to adjust onto your position and he will not stop. I did record that once, he did it for about 3 minutes. Because he was constantly trying to catch me and I just wasn't letting him catch me. So he just kept going, he didn't stop, it was a war of attrition. Look how much he just dragged on that fight, he was basically already dead. What an asshole. Oh, pale lips. That is a first gen Kezu drop. And I'm glad it stayed in first gen, to be honest with you. Pale lips, ladies and gentlemen. Looks like we can just stand here and Kezu will make his way to the area where we were fighting the first one. It's good. Looks like we don't actually get white sharpness with these dual blades, we just get a nice chunk of blue. And you can see we definitely need this amount of sharpness because we dropped down to green pretty easily. Oh, okay, sorry, I didn't notice that you guys were giving me stuff. Thank you. And what were you giving me? You were giving me pale extract. Ah. Yes, the classic adage. If Kezu is a penis, what is his pale extract? Oh, don't do this again. I don't know how I should feel about AJ giving me his pale extract. Anyway. Hey Wonderlord. Welcome to the livestream. Sorry AJ, I shouldn't be doing demon dance while you're aiming for the head. I think Kezu's quite resistant to poison damage, but that's still a pretty high raw lance, so it's not like you're not dealing good damage. But yes, the lance that AJ is using is one of the lances that I wanted to make using the Gravios wings that I was trying to get before. And am still trying to get, incidentally. Because I didn't get any. So, yeah, you've got the poison one and the fire one. The fire one looks really cool. It's like a lava lance. I think it is anyway. The sword and shield looks really good as well. There's something about the Black Gravios weapons. Not as good generally as the Rathalos ones. But the Rathalos spear looks so profoundly unattractive that I can't really bring myself to make the Rathalos lance. It's possible that I actually prefer the stats of the Gravios one as well. I'll just give it a rest. Come on. What's going on? Oh, this business again. Oh, I see. These two are trying to have an intimate moment. If AJ wanted a red rocket in his face, he definitely just got one. In possibly the most violent way possible. got a wall here, so I have to actually face this way, otherwise I'm going to be glitching off a wall. This is why I didn't go for the demon dance. If I had a life powder, I would bloody well use it, AJ. I bloody well would use it. I apologize. Because I did see that I was in receipt of a life powder before, but I cannot return the favor. I do not have one. I have them in my box, well, I've got 3 in my box. That's as many as I can stack. Oh no. Don't let him leave. We tried our utmost. Now the thing Kezu likes to do is he bunny hops from area to area. He will go to, say, area 6, fly down, land, limp, immediately. He will limp immediately and then fly off again. It's extremely annoying. Yeah, that's one thing that Wonderlord's drawing our attention to. It's the fact that you can see that we're using dual blades, but it's still got the sword and shield icon. I actually don't know if that's the case in Monster Hunter G, but it's definitely the case in this game. Someone's going to have to tell me if it's the same in Monster Hunter G, because if it is, it confirms that it's not a mistake, and it's actually just a fact that they don't have the icon yet. Okay, he's not bunny hopping. It turns out that he only bunny hops when going north. If he's going south, he just fucking flies. The only problem is that he takes a very long time to do that. The effect of hot drink has expired. Good timing, because I'm no longer in that area. AJ once again ending up on his hands and knees, but fear not, I am flying through the air. Alright, he's still sort of bunny hopping. I regret to say that I do not have this monster paintballed anymore. Apparently he's gone north. Or is he there? I guess he's just going from cave to cave. That's his ultimate objective. Is he here? Yes, he is. He really is here. Goodbye. Kezu number 2. He is down. I'll do one more hunt after this. Second last hunt. Now it's my turn to get some pale extract. Thank you for that. Is that a stone? These guys are having a rock throwing duel. Maybe they're paintballs. It's a bit hard to get it on target, isn't it? Got a bit of an arc there. Come on. Anyway, I shouldn't be wasting my paintballs like this. No, Freedom 1 does have regular quests. Well, not regular, he's a special quest. Yeah, so Young Garuga can be accessed in the village and also online. He can be hunted normally. Unless your idea of normal is different to mine. But yeah, Young Garuga, and this is something that's worth mentioning for those who aren't familiar with old Monster Hunter, or first-gen Monster Hunter. Young Garuga started off as a very strong monster. He is treated as a almost like an Elder Dragon. He has a purple quest, special quest, and you can repel him. So, and believe me, he's not like a normal Garuga. He has a lot of health and a lot of damage. I don't know why they decided to make him so strong. He's not half Elder Dragon or anything. He's just a fucking Kutku mixed with a Rathian. So why they decided to make him so strong, I really have got no idea, but the decision was made, and we had to live with it. Holy shit, it's happening again. It is happening again. Okay, we do not need 2 stacks of Monster Bone Plus, and the same can be said of Hard Monster Bone. That's probably why I'm struggling at the moment. Alright, these can go away. And then I can sell those bones and also the insect husks. Got a bit of money out of that. Apparently in Monster Hunter Portable, in other words, the Japanese version of Freedom 1, you can only fight young Garuga in the village if you link to Monster Hunter 2, which is very strange. I don't know why they required that. But yeah, interesting feature. Not something I'd heard about, or at the very least I had completely forgotten about it. What's our final hunt going to be? I don't want, you know, some smartass saying, "Oh, Fatalis!" Because that's not a final hunt, that's just bashing our head against a wall. Not really, I just mean that I don't want a long hunt. I just want something that can be done within a reasonable amount of time. Crimson Fatalis. I'll just see if there's something that we're missing, something quite obvious that we haven't done yet. I mean, there is Diablos, but I don't really feel like doing Diablos. Sorry. We've done Kezu. Yeah, I guess we could do Black Gravios. Yeah, I suppose it's between Black Gravios and Diablos, and I would definitely go for Black Gravios. Young Garuga, well, again, that is not an example of a monster that can be killed within a short amount of time. I'd love to use this weapon, the Inferno Dragon Sword. This weapon is really hard to make. To make this weapon, you need to get 2 Laoshan Lung rubies. This weapon is an absolute treasure in the inventory of any person who's been able to make it. It takes a long time to get 2 Laoshan Lung rubies. I suppose some people might get it just by chance, but no, I had to work my ass off for it. Is Gravios weak to Dragon in any meaningful way? He might be, I just don't remember clearly. He probably isn't. He's very weak to Dragon? Okay. Well, I'll take it then. I seem to remember that he was similar to Uragan in that way, weak to water and dragon, but thought maybe it was a false memory. Alright, well that's a good opportunity to use this weapon. This is a much cooler longsword greatsword. Zeus is in the room, and he has posted something on the board. What's his rank? My apologies, Zeus. There's another guy roaming around who's HR1 if you wait for long enough. Unless he's already gone. Alright, Black Gravius. Sorry, HR1 guy. I will actually sell my ammunition here. It's a little bit of a waste of money, because you only get 3 Zenny per shot back, whereas it's 32 Zenny per shot when you buy it. Maybe I'll just keep it and then exchange it if I need this space. Oh yeah. True Black Dragon Sword. I think I used the Crimson one. Can't quite remember. I think I made the Crimson one. The weird thing about... Sorry, just yawning in the middle of my sentence. The weird thing about the Fatalis Sword and Shields is that the black and the crimson one are so damn similar in terms of their damage output that I just made the one that I was able to forge based on the materials that I had, and it was the crimson one. I think I'm going the long way. No, I'm going the right way. Based on where I started, I think this was the direction I wanted to go in. I wasn't really paying attention, to be honest with you. It's probably not necessary to paintball him, is it? I'm going to stay out of range of that. Oh, something I do need to do, however, is consume my cool drink. You can see that your health bar doesn't actually change colour. You just lose health. It's still pretty obvious when you... Oh, God. If I'd known that I was bouncing on everything except the stomach, I probably wouldn't have brought a fucking greatsword. I've got wide sharpness, give me a break. I'm also breaking on... I'm bouncing on the stomach, ladies and gentlemen. I should not have brought a fucking sword and... Not sword and shield. I should have brought a sword and shield, because that just hits through everything. But instead, I'm literally using a weapon that's just bouncing on everything. Because if I'm bouncing on the stomach, I'll be bouncing off everything. Oh no, apparently I'm not bouncing on the legs, so... Let's aim for the legs, then. Ironically, we now have a pitfall trap down, which is going to prevent me from hitting the one thing that I don't bounce off. Brilliant. It'll be good for these guys, though. I just wish I could contribute more. No. Apparently, it's just the stomach that I'm bouncing off. That just doesn't make sense. It's truly bizarre. So everything on the monster is soft except the weak point. That just... Does that make any sense to any of you? It doesn't make any sense to me. Whatever. It's not as terrible as I thought. No, it is as terrible as I thought because it's inconsistent now. Now his fucking legs are hard. Is that because he's enraged? I just don't understand this monster. I just feel very... I just feel rather depressed that I'm using such a shit weapon for the last time. Well, it's a good weapon, it's just an extraordinarily inappropriate one. Maybe I'm bouncing off the knee or some stupid shit like that. And if I get the foot, it's soft. Or perhaps I was hitting the wing when I thought I was attacking the foot before. Well, I'll do my best to hit the wing then. I just find a monster like this to be truly insufferable. It just goes to show that you should just use a gun or a sword and shield. The sword and shield works because of the damage boost. You're not going to bounce off anything with that, but yeah. He is currently standing in the exit, so can't do much to him at the moment. He thinks he's attacking us. Well, I suppose he is attempting to, but he's not going to get anywhere. Never mind, he is going to get somewhere if he's going up against cushion. I stand corrected. When you say when in the animation, you mean the monster. Depending on the monster's animation will determine whether I make contact or not. Okay, well I don't know the ideal timing then. This is new to me. Come on, let's go further away. Let's go really far away. This is becoming absolutely ridiculous. Alright. That's probably the solution when he's doing that. Now I'm in blue sharpness. Well, I can mess about a little bit and see if I can find the timing for hitting his stomach without bouncing, but it seems that if he's doing anything, I will bounce. Oh, my weapon animation is what you're referring to. Too early in my weapon animation? What do you mean too late? That doesn't really make sense if it's too early in my weapon animation. What? No, that doesn't make sense to me. Because if, in the case of a greatsword, if it's too late in my animation, that means that it would be hitting the end of the sword, which deals less damage. If you're hitting, unless that's not a calculation in first gen Monster Hunter, but certainly by third generation, if you're hitting with the tip of the sword, you're dealing less damage. So how the fuck does that make sense? I don't understand. I can try a different animation, but as for the overhead swing, that's extremely confusing. No, I don't understand. I'll just aim for the wings as I was doing before, and continue to have a real shit time. Last time I bring a greatsword, I can tell you that. I'll tell you that for nothing. I'm trying to get the wing on the turnaround. And I'll just miss it, I guess. Remember how well we did with just all guns? That's why you use a gun. Oh well. Less of a crescendo for the final hunt and more like a wet fart trapped in a lounge. Seat cushion, I guess, would have been better. But yeah, wet fart trapped in a seat cushion versus big fun final hunt. We've definitely got the former. Oh, I pressed the button to unsheath, but it didn't come out. Obviously evidence that the input detection still isn't perfect. This is like pulling teeth out. The bottom line is that if I'm hitting the wings like this, I don't think I'm dealing much in the way of damage, so... This would have been so much better if I had brought the Fatalis Sword and Shield. I wish that I had done that. That's alright, we can have a painful hunt. It's Freedom 1. Get to demonstrate it. Stomach still isn't broken, of course, because they're using Sword and Shield, so they can't really reach it. Whoever designed this monster should be shot. They should be taken out the back and executed. I don't care how long ago it was. It's hard to really get the timing for the wings as well. I'm sort of hoping that it'll swing down and I might be able to clip it. Just on the edge. But I'm mostly having to wait for fire breathing for my opportunity. I'm getting too overzealous, I'm getting too close to the monster, and consequently I keep getting hit by the same attack, the same fire fart. Oh, looks like I need to drink another cool drink. Only noticed when I saw that my health was not recovering at all. I suspect that if the chest were broken, I'd probably be able to hit it. No, we're ending on this, man. I've got things to do. I just didn't realize that I was getting myself in for the worst quest so far. The worst experience so far. This has been complete shit though, just to make that very clear. Oh my god. That's always how it is though, when you want him to run at you, he doesn't. And then when you don't, he does. The classic. Yeah, I really don't have much to say. This has been a fairly repetitive and unpleasant experience. We've just got to grit our teeth and then keep going until it finishes, I suppose. Couldn't quite get there in time. You can see I can really only get one attack out each time. Such is the nature of the opportunity, and how small it is. I can try for an upswing. Well, that was an attempt to do an upswing, and I instead just got hit by fire. That's alright. Quite a stark contrast to the previous hunts, wouldn't you say? Ooh, I'm glad that didn't catch me. Yeah, the wings obviously don't take shit for damage, and yeah. I shouldn't be surprised. "15 minutes. I'm surprised that he's actually stayed in this area for so long. I wonder why. Why do you suppose he, over the course of 15 minutes, just has not moved at all? It's a little unusual, don't you think? Perhaps if I had higher DPS this would help even, but I just can only hit the wings, so it's not happening. My DPS is as you see it. Pretty limited. Also doesn't help when I'm completely off target. What was the... I don't know what the signal was for. I never thought I'd say this, but even Diablos would have been better than this. I bet everyone's thinking that. I'm sorry that I'm yawning so much. Obviously I got up early and this is not engaging enough, so I'm just yawning endlessly. I feel like I'm not actually doing anything. It's very rare that this actually happens. I almost never find myself in a quest where I'm this ineffectual. Normally I would just abandon as soon as I would get a single whiff of it, but no, this feels like an almost I'm a gunner and I only have normal level 1 kind of situation. That's what this feels like. That's the first time I've actually had the monster fucking react to something since we cut the tail. Maybe I can actually aim for the stomach. Is it time for me to actually start dealing damage? Holy shit. Did you just see that, by the way? I got hit by a laser beam that was no longer being fired. Could you imagine if we died 3 times? Could you actually comprehend that? I think I would scream if we failed this quest. I would just... Oh my god. Hopefully I hit something else. If that's still bouncing off the stomach. I am still bouncing off the stomach, even though it is a gaping wound. When I said that I would scream, I feel like... Okay. So, I'm happy to say that in... Well, what's it been now? 5 years, at least, of live streaming Monster Hunter? Yeah, 5 years of live streaming Monster Hunter. 9 years of frequently recording Monster Hunter. That would be in the top 3 worst quests I've ever done. That was pathetic. That was just the worst. The worst in recent memory. Just absolutely, from start to finish, a blowout. What a fucking end to the live stream. My god. I don't have time for anything else. I've got shit to do. So, yeah, brilliant quest recommendation. Never using this weapon against that monster again, obviously. And, yeah. We should, well, I actually... I shouldn't have even saved the game. That was just a complete waste of materials, to be honest. Anyway, that's it for the live stream, I suppose. I will see you all next time I'm recording Monster Hunter, and I bid you all farewell for now. Bye-bye.